hearing him, it does give some more context, right? He's obviously laughing. He's more saying like, I don't want to talk, like you ask me questions I can't answer in the movie. I still think it's irresponsible. I think we have to talk about that a little bit different. And I think part of it for me is who Snoop is. Snoop is somebody whose entire career has been built around saying and doing things. Like, this can't be the first time your grandkid asked you some shit that made you uneasy. I'm sure your kid's gonna hear The Chronic at some point. I'm sure they're gonna hear Doggy Style at some point. And you're gonna have to explain that shit too. Like, we're gonna have to do some explaining around it yourself, much less in your career, right?
And bro, Marc is making an amazing point. And like you said, Mo Cheeks, you said all he had to say was adoption. Like, when two white parents with a black child. Like perfect. Like, you don't have to like expound into deep theology and historical events to explain to a young kid in the middle of a movie theater. Like, it's not that complicated. Hey, thank you for clicking this video. Just to let you know, this is a clip from my previous live stream that I did. Just want to let you know I go live every Sunday through Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you don't know what time that is, go ahead and Google that so you can meet me and have a conversation on my next stream. Once again, I appreciate you clicking this video. Now let's enjoy the video. Let me hide my chat so I don't get distracted. So, like we talked about yesterday, and I know some of you guys weren't here yesterday, so when it comes to the Snoop Dogg situation, once again, and I'm pretty sure that they're gonna play it once we kind of get into the video. But my conclusion for this yesterday was really simple. Okay, if you feel uncomfortable telling your kids or telling young adults like how the world is, then 9 times out of 10 that reflects more on who you are than the actual situation. And once again, I know when it comes to kids, it's a precious thing. Trust me, I got 3 young ones. I got one that's 22 already, grandkids. He grown, all about his business. But I got 3 little ones, and I don't hide nothing from them. They know that there's millions of people out there, like 332 million people in America alone. Not everybody is like mommy and daddy. There's people that have different religions, different beliefs, and they want to love who they want to love at the end of the day. So when we see this representation in our media, music, movies, art, anything in between, it shouldn't catch your kids off guard if you're teaching them properly. And once again, I'm not trying to tell people how to, teach your kids or whatnot, but if you feel uncomfortable, why? That's the big question. Because media and movies can't hide people forever. Like, how is that? Like, as black folks, we know how that feels. I was young when I started realizing, there's no black people in these movies. You see what I'm saying? So representation matters, and it's reality. Like, that's kind of the world we live in. So at some point, even though you might feel uncomfortable, your kids need to know that there's other people out there living in the world. Now, once again, that's not my biggest gripe with Snoop. I mean, he performed in front of Trump. Like, that should be number one there. But when it comes to this, and when you hear his interview, it's not as bad as some might think. I don't think Snoop is like homophobic or anything. It's just he hasn't had this conversation, and it's like, okay, educate yourself. So then when one of your grandkids do ask you a question, you're prepared to answer. But let's go ahead and get into this video.
Come on, let's cover Snoop.
All right, before we do that, I just remembered we need our blockers, because once again, YouTube will take that money. All right, let's
Dogg's comments. Snoop Dogg's comments. He's under fire. whatever that means today. Snoop Dogg made some comments about taking his grandkid to the movie to see, what is that movie? It was a kid movie. Huh?
Lightyear.
I can't hear.
Lightyear.
And he said that in the scene, 2 female characters had a baby. So he said that his grandkid in the movie started having I have the clip.
Yeah.
Why am I saying what he said?
You got to do him like
Yeah,
that.
I don't Listen, whose side are y'all on before I get the clip?
I gotta hear the clip.
No, you don't. You can pick a side. Or you can flip-flop like you did with Cheyenne Bryant.
Or like you do it traditionally.
All right, they're just
every
gonna
day.
You can flip-flop.
Don't start
like
calling
you
your
did
flip-flops
like
out.
you did with Dr.
You better
Cheyenne
get that
Bryant.
Okay, they're just gonna go back
when
and
you do the
forth.
rewind with
When the nigga backtracking on the track I know.
That niggas is crazy, bro.
I'd have smoked her boots. You up there making friends. Nigga, you a bitch too.
For doing what?
You said your fucking word.
I love how you told him.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
What does that do for
He's been winding down anyway.
some like Snoop?
All right.
So-
Here we go.
See, what was the movie with Buzz Light?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
Oh, the new Buzz, the Lightyear. I think it's
yeah,
called
with
Lightyear.
Kiki Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter.
That was your first mistake.
We watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she and she had a baby. They both women. How did she have a baby? Shh. Move it over.
I think
So that's like, fuck me, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have. Watching it.
All right, so before they get into it, hopefully you guys heard it. Once again, I'm pretty sure you can find it easily on YouTube. But he was saying it in a joking way. I get that. Sometimes you got to take things into context. He wasn't being rude or anything. But once again, it's better to be prepared for these type of conversations, okay? As these kids are growing, they're going to ask you questions, and hopefully you don't steer them off wrong.
That's the clip.
Yeah, I don't think he said anything bad.
That is the clip that everybody's going crazy over. They're trying to say that Snoop don't want to see gay couples, lesbian couples in movies.
No, he's saying that he don't want to explain, be having to explain to his grandchild, what's going on. That's what I took from that. I just don't. Y'all putting me in the midst of that. I don't want to explain. I came here to watch a movie. I didn't come here to explain sexuality or how a woman and woman can have a baby. Who should explain that? Who knows? I'm just saying, but probably he
Buzz
should
Lightyear.
explain. Right? Teachers should explain. People should explain the whole.
No, wait.
I understand what he's saying.
He should explain it. But okay, should he explain it in the movies?
No, I think you can say. I'll tell you when we get home. But I think the idea that this movie puts him in a position that he has to have conversations that he otherwise wouldn't want to have is a bit unreasonable.
But you
to
said
me.
that.
A lot of people don't have
He's not
conversations
saying
about
I don't want to have this conversation. Well, at least I didn't hear him say that. He's saying I came to the movie just to watch the movie, not to have this conversation right here.
I think
He said his kid wouldn't stop.
Yeah, when you hear the audio, it is a different tone than what you read.
It sounds much more playful than what I was reading the outlash online.
The way I
But
heard
they
it
trying
was-
to hang him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hang him for this. Again, I read the verbates, I read the transcripts, and I even reported on it. What the responses were. I didn't necessarily offer a take on it. I just offered.
No, I understand, bro.
Hearing him, it does give some more context, right? He's obviously laughing. He's more saying like, I don't want to talk. You ask me questions I can't answer in the movie. I still think it's irresponsible. I think we have to talk about that a little bit different. And I think part of it for me is who Snoop is. Snoop is somebody whose entire career has been built around saying and doing things. Like, this can't be the first time your grandkid asked you some shit that made you uneasy. I'm sure your kid's going to hear The Chronic at some point. I'm sure they're going to hear Doggy Style at some point. And you're going to have to explain that shit too. Like, we're going to have to do some explaining around it yourself, much less in your career, right?
And bro, Marc is making an amazing point. And like you said, Mo Cheeks, you said all he had to say was adoption. Like when two white parents with a black child. like perfect. Like, you don't have to like expound into deep theology and historical events to explain to a young kid in the middle of a movie theater. Like, it's not that complicated. Like, obviously, like when my kids are what, like 10, 12, 13. If they was to see something like that, which we did see the Lightyear movie, and this was like 2 years ago, like, they already knew a woman and woman can't have a baby. A man and a man can't have a baby. They must have adopted this sucker somewhere or found it. I don't know. The movie didn't really specify. At least I don't think it did. But once again, like, it's not complicated. In a way, Snoop was playing around like he had to like talk about the birds and the bees and, you know, how people get prayed. Like, no, no, it's not that complicated. Trust me. Okay. So that's all he had to say. And if he finds this complicated to explain, wait until these grandkids start hearing Uncle Snoop's or Grandpa Snoop's old albums. They're going to have a lot more questions. I'm just saying, they're going to have a lot more questions, and it's going to be more difficult than why they have two mommies. Trust me, it's going to be a lot more difficult.
Too, like, you know, we're going to have to do some explaining around it yourself, much less, and your career, right? Much less what happens in this movie. So
that's not fair.
I think it is.
That's not fair.
Why?
You explaining Doggy Style and Chronic is something that you did, that you can explain to somebody where I was.
A kid will bump into the cartoon Pixar movie before they bump into Doggy Style and Chronic.
But even if they
not
don't,
if it's your kid, no, I don't think so.
Look, even if they don't, but you can explain why you wrote these lyrics or why you said these things. Explaining that versus explaining society at large and its evolution is two totally different things, and I think one is easier to do.
I think it's much easier to say, you know, women have babies sometimes than explain bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, lick them nuts and suck the dick. I think it's much easier.
Again, right. But
Mark always sound right.
No, but I would explain. I would want to explain my words and where I. Look, I think that's subjective.
He's changing the argument too.
I think that's subjective.
You think that that's the position he should have taken in the movies?
No, I think he should have said, "We'll talk. Explain to you after the movies. I'll tell you later."
I think you could say it in the way that you just said it. Yeah. Sometimes women have babies with women. I think
actually, and leave it right there, right?
Yeah,
and then say we'll talk more after the movie.
I don't think it's that complicated to explain the process very quickly.
How many times y'all been in a movie with a kid?
A lot. I had 3.
He said that his initial answer was what? Because he had an initial answer, and then his grandbaby was like, No.
That's what I'm saying.
You know
like,
what I mean?
Sometimes a kid is persistent in the movies while it's silent and nobody's supposed to be talking. I think he was putting a lot of emphasis on that, not really him having to teach.
In fairness, kids or young people, or sometimes even your girl in the movie theater, will ask you questions that you have to explain and you don't want to explain, period. Whether it's about sexuality or just something in the plot line that they missed.
Yeah. Like, and remember, I said don't hang.
And Valley Girl, you make a good point. You said, personally, I would not want my grandfather influencing my child in that subject. Now, once again, if Snoop and I'm trying to throw some grace and maybe understanding, maybe he doesn't have anything good to say. Let's just say that, okay? It's better for Snoop to be like, you know what? I don't know. Wait until the movie's over. I don't know. Go ask your parents. That's a better response than a million other crazy responses Snoop could have said. He could have grabbed his grandchild and just walked out the movie theater like, I ain't trying to see this. You see what I'm saying? So like, into that perspective, we can't be mad at Snoop. We could have maybe wanted something better, of course, but like, he passes the bar with this one, especially when you put it into that context. Like, it could have been a lot worse. Trust me. I done heard crazier things, and it could have easily been said. So, I mean, you know, not everyone's going to be a Marc Lamont Hill, but it could definitely be, you know, some sort of Trump supporting type answer.
Hang on for it. I just said I think it's irresponsible because of what that projecting that message means out to the world. I understand the dynamic of wanting somebody to shut the fuck up in the movie, whether it's about sexuality or the plot line,
right,
or whatever. Like I get his. That's what I say. When I hear it, I'm a lot less bothered by it.
I think that's an even funnier bit, really.
Yeah.
Like having to explain some dumb shit in the movie, regardless of what it's about.
Right. But I wouldn't. But that's irresponsible to say in the interview because of. I mean, this conversation we're having right now is exactly why.
But what's wrong with the conversation?
Not the one we're having.
But this is the conversation, not the one we're having, but what we're having about Snoop that was going on when Pose, the TV show, are you familiar?
Mm-hmm.
When they started putting certain shit on TV every day.
Yeah.
And when they started making
Pose,
certain comic book characters be gay.
yeah.
I mean, there is some
And I want
Sesame Street.
Again, I don't really like doing this no more, but what's wrong with him having that opinion if that's his opinion?
What opinion?
If I'm not putting words in his mouth,
If he doesn't want to explain that
if
to
he
his child.
doesn't want to feel responsible for explaining that to his grandchild, or he feels that it puts him in a
uncomfortable
place,
that's
right?
your mom and daddy job.
Or dog, it's just he could feel uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with him feeling uncomfortable about tough conversations.
I agree.
You have a right to feel that way. What I said is the irresponsible part for me is
him saying it aloud.
As Snoop. Forget about his history. I'm talking about Snoop as superstar, as person who is going to make the news headlines and it's going to create all kinds of misunderstandings. That's what I meant by the conversation we're having is that we're trying to parse out what he meant, right? Or other people are trying to parse out what he meant. I don't want to say nothing where people have to parse out what I meant when the worst interpretation is one that is seen as harmful. Like that to me is just irresponsible.
Now that's true, because if you type in on YouTube Snoop Buzz Lightyear movie, like how I did yesterday, the first video you're gonna see is Officer Tatum, yes, that clown, and he's using Snoop in a way that is bashing Disney and gay people. Like, that's what Marc Lamont Hill is talking about. Once again, when you're talking to someone like Marc Lamont Hill, he is on a whole nother playing field, okay? Like, we're talking about, like, level 1. He's like, hey, when he's having this interview, he could have conducted his conversation better instead of leaving it open to interpretation to where bad faith actors can take what you say out of context and use it for something evil or bad or not representing who you really are, which is literally what is happening. So like, that's what Mark is saying, like, hey, he should have done better with the interview. In my opinion, like, once again, like they already said, 1, that's your mama and daddy job. And 2, if Snoop isn't comfortable or isn't equipped to have that conversation, even better. So, hey, go for it.
Just don't do that shit.
Audience, this is a good time for me to tell y'all that Mark still has a little smoke with Snoop over that Trump stuff.
No, not at all. Not at all. I disagree with him on it, but like, I love Snoop.
Well, I mean, this can't be any more irresponsible than that.
That was way more irresponsible. That was way more irresponsible.
I think it takes away from the authenticity of a person. I think that's what happens now with podcasts and all this other shit. We know what we should say, we know what we shouldn't say, and we're just saying stuff to appease people, right? And then somebody else might really walk a different lifestyle, but I can't publicly say it, so I'm gonna just lie on camera.
No,
my thing with this is it kind of. I watched the Patrice O'Neal argument you guys had about the Don Imus thing back in the day.
Oh shit!
And this he fried you up a little bit, but this kind of falls in the same category of this clip. From hearing it, I was reading all the backlash online. This seems like he was kind of being funny and playful,
Silly, mad silly to me.
And like once we start policing comedy, it gets in a weird place. Like it's not.
And I wouldn't even say it's policing comedy. I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty sure we can give Snoop an A+ or a pass when it comes to how he dealt with the situation, because like Valley Girl said, like, it could have went a whole different direction. But when you're talking about it on these podcasts, make sure you're saying what you need to say so bad faith actors can't tear it apart and make you look more like a villain. I see G, or what is that? Q31 full. Thank you for following on Twitch. Hey guys, I'm live streaming on Twitch. So once again, I appreciate you following. But once again, I don't think Snoop did anything wrong. Once again, maybe just hoping he was better equipped. But once again, not everybody can be a Marc Lamont Hill or be a superior like myself. You know what I'm saying? But when you're handling these conversations, even like you said, Earth Creature, you said plainly speaking, Snoop put the emphasis on the freak out because there were two ladies involved. So I mean, you make a good point. Like when he emphasized that part, like someone can take that as you were disgusted by that and you had a problem with that. You see what I'm saying? But I mean, once again, we're kind of speculating, and Snoop Dogg is not the pinnacle of someone to intellectually converse what they want to say in full. You see what I'm saying? So, but once again, I think that brings up a good conversation. When if you got kids or you got little ones that are asking you questions, either one, if you're not prepared or equipped to have those conversations with kids, don't have it. Hey, pass to your mama or get back to me when you're older. I don't know, something like that. Or, if it's easy for you to be like, hey, people out there are different. They love who they want to love. And there's this thing called adoption, or just tell them a lie that the stork drops them in the chimney at night. I don't know, something like that. But trust me, it could have went a lot worse.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Fuck with me, you know that